Mark. Okay. Um, Welcome everyone to a very brief, I got 20 minutes to talk about wine type of walkthrough of this month's really sick wine club, which is called um, The Rhône is in Our Home, or something like that. I named it something similar to The Rhône is Here in Our Home, something like that. And the reason for that is we're doing two wines that are red, that are extremely great examples of their grapes. They're both originating, or rather now popularized in the Rhône region of France, although we really don't associate one of these regions so much with the Rhône, we associate it more with Beaujolais. However, or sorry, Burgundy. Pardon me. I totally jumped ahead because this month we're doing Gamay, which is native to Beaujolais, but which is actually in the Rhône region, along with Syrah. And Syrah, of course, is from the northern Rhône. So, we're thinking about regionality, the relationship between two grapes historically, but then also we're just really looking at them in terms of how we like them, how they differ from each other, and what they do in California. So I've got two wines to introduce to you. One does not have a label. It is still a shiner because I am a genius and I made custom labels for these. I got them sent to the wrong address. They were meant to go to Solminer Wines, who made these with us. Instead, I gave them the Solminer address in a Santa Barbara 93101 zip code, which is not where that is. So it went back to New York, and now the labels are coming to us directly. So if you are a wine club member and you picked up a special edition shiner, cherish it, and maybe ask the team to put a gold marker on it, or put a little Sharpie on it yourself at home. We will give you the label as soon as it drops. But yeah, this is sort of a fun way to get a super fresh wine to you. This is Elkins Wines Perli Vineyard Syrah, 2021. This is 2025. So, extremely fresh, much more serious. People will say that Syrah is a much more serious grape than Gamay anyways. I would tend to agree with them. However, there are some super hyper serious Gamay wines in the world. We just don't always carry those ones. We carry fun ones more than anything. Little bit to cover between the two wines this month. Both are 100% whole cluster production. This is 98% Syrah. Typical of Syrah, there is a blend of 2% Viognier. And I'm not sure if that actually comes from a field blend in the vineyard, which is really common when planting Syrah, but I do think that that's the case. This is from the Mendocino Ridge. This is from the Santa Rita Hills. So pretty big distance. Mendocino is north of Sonoma. The Mendocino Ridge is the area around the Anderson Valley that is the high altitude vineyards that sort of go out to the coast there. The Harbor House Inn is out on the coast, a place that I would like to very much one day go and stay with someone that I like. Little bit about these wines too. Winemakers wise, like who are we dealing with this month? We've got Elkins wines. So Matt Elkins is this really amazing young winemaker, and I'm going to look at some notes here. But he joined us last year in our wine festival. He is a local assistant winemaker to a winery, which I don't know if I'm not supposed to say or something, but anyways, I won't. Just, out of respect, because it's not on his LinkedIn. But an assistant winemaker at an amazing local winery. He's worked in a ton of different places, harvest internships in South Australia, South Africa, Napa. Yeah, he's worked at a super high-tech winery in Napa currently, or rather, he's in Santa Barbara currently. I think he just hasn't updated. Maybe he just hasn't updated any of his information for a number of years. I think that's actually what's going on. But anyhow, he's making low impact, low input wines. Really, we've carried his Riesling recently, which is like stunning wine, super, super well done, incredible values. I love guys like this who just like, he just is already making wine all day for a bigger, serious winery. He's able to kind of, through connections in the industry, get some really fantastic grapes and sort of pursue his own winemaking style. And so this is like a terrific expression of Syrah in a really minimal style with no new oak. Um, native ferments, whole cluster, doing it in like a Northern Rhône style. Um, this is Gamay from Solminer Wines, who this will be the first time we don't make a Malbec, so Malbec and Grenache this year. That vineyard was pulled out, so David and I planned to make a Gamay. Same vibe, chillable, really minimally extracted during the fermentation. It's all whole cluster. It's the first time they made Gamay this year. The vineyard is the Kessler Hock Vineyard, which is in the Santa Rita Hills, all farmed organically. But yeah, we're going to do, I don't know which one to do first. I feel like we should do this wine first because it's lighter and more fun. But yeah, this will be vintage one. Or I didn't mean that this isn't fun. This is fun. This wine's great. And I'm super hyped about both of them. I just am excited because we get to put our own label on this, and it also tastes like candy. So, apple dandies taste like candy, just like at the farmer's market. I'm rushing through this because I'm going on a flight to Germany tomorrow, and I have so much on my plate. And in 20 minutes, the restaurant closes, and I've got takeaway food waiting for me there. So, we're gonna blast through this. Kessler Hawk Vineyard, organically farmed, Santa Rita Hills, predominantly like a mix of sandy soils. You're gonna get a little bit of the what's it called? The other earth that we have in Santa Barbara. It's sandy loam, patches of clay. Yeah, it's going to be kind of like more in the valley. No real like particularly different vineyard soils there. It's just good farming, good soils, and a really consistent place to grow good grapes in Santa Barbara. Santa Rita Hills, of course, are to the west of Buellton, at the 246. They are, growing fantastic grapes out there, really out all the way to Lompoc. This was planted in 2005. There's only 2 hectares of Gamay, so like 5 acres. On the nose, it just smells like joyous and candy and bright. I always kind of feel like Gamay can have like an apple skin sort of like hidden underneath a lot of purple and blue fruit. It's just like everything from cherry to blackberry to bramble to raspberry. It's super chillable. It's got this little mentholy kind of like chaparral herbal quality to it on the nose. But yeah, overwhelmingly kind of bright and joyous, and it just says like, yeah, like it tastes like fruit. I have a spittoon. I'm not going to use it. The palate, very delicate tannins. That comes from the fact that they did break up and stomp on the grapes, but they really just tried to submerge the cap and like not break up all of the grapes even. So this is like a semi-carbonic type of situation, meaning a lot of the grapes stayed whole the whole time. They didn't break, releasing much of their tannin. So they don't have much of the grip or the color. But God, this is like really a pretty color wine. It kind of has this like wonderful, I don't know, it's like a purple kind of terracotta, purple flower type of look. But yeah, definitely like ruby with garnet, or sorry, purple hues throughout. Gamay is, of course, from Beaujolais. Really, it's kind of more associated historically with Burgundy, where it was kicked out of by the Duke in the 1500s. Was pushed south to Beaujolais in favor of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir being planted in Burgundy. We all know how that turned out. It's very popular to have Pinot Noir and Chardonnay in Burgundy, although there is Côte de Bourguignon, which is a Gamay appellation within Burgundy that's tight. But, Beaujolais has much more granitic and sandy soils, whereas you have a lot more of the limestone soils that are typical of Burgundy, which actually I prefer sandy and granitic soils for Beaujolais, or sorry, Gamay. I just think it gives it a little bit more pop, it gives it more edge, it gives it like a little bit more texture. Because limestone gives such like a purity of just the fruit qualities and of the secondary qualities of the actual fruit itself, the grape varietal. I think that the minerality that's afforded by a sandy mixed soil or granite soil can really, really make a wine pop a lot more. It tastes like fruit. Like it's like a fruity di boschi. Like fruity di boschi was like sort of given the essence treatment, like made into like a low sugar but like full nature sort of experience. It feels like buoyant. It feels like it wants to be sparkling, but it's not. It just like gives you that appearance on the palate. This wine's like in the 11%, 12% range. It's meant to be chilled, has an aperitif. So like invite friends over, pop a couple bottles of this chilled, and you're like, you can take it right through salad, dinner, poultry, barbecue, but you can also just do it as like couch wine or back patio wine. It's both like thoughtless and it kind of draws you in. It has this wonderful kind of balance of fruit and like a little bit of more of the chaparral and even like a light, delicate violet type of vibe. I'm really happy with this. This is very, very low SO2 in a really tough harvest year. We really try always with Solminer and all of our winemakers to like, if we can, we make a wine with no sulfur. If we can't, then we make a wine that is just really, really well done and has a little bit added, just enough to make the wine stable and good to get out to market. But obviously always organic and naturally fermented with no other bullshit. I feel I'm rushed tonight. I want you to know that I love this wine. I want David Delasky and Anna Delasky to know that I love this wine. I think it's so good. And I apologize for rushing along. Syrah! It's from the Northern Rhône originally. It's made, it was originally a cross of Mondeuse Blanche and Durache. Dura? Typical Dura grape. Everybody knows it. Mondeuse Blanche is actually a grape varietal that has like a tiny, tiny vineyard area still, and Dura does exist still as well, but Syrah is really where it's at. So Syrah is at home in the primarily granitic soils of the Northern Rhône. The Northern Rhône is like this, and then the Southern Rhône is like a big fat plain. The Northern Rhône follows the Rhône River, and it's cut out, and it's just super steep, crazy hills, super aggressive. And actually, the vineyard that this is grown in is not unlike the Northern Rhône, just coastal California. Yeah, this is made in a vineyard called the Perli Vineyard. I'm just going to have a quick look at my notes here, but 2,200 feet of altitude, farmed organically, dry farmed, hyper cool climate. What's cool is it's above the fog line. So up in the Anderson Valley, you get like a maritime fog that comes in a lot. And then that will sort of be an inversion layer. So above the fog is actually a lot of bright, clear skies. So 2,200 feet, this vineyard is getting a lot more direct sunshine and not hanging out in the fog, which can cause a lot of problems with sort of mildew and things. Daily gets burned off and really gets to get a lot of sunshine, which Syrah likes cold and sunny. But yeah, dry farmed, which is hardcore. In California, anywhere, dry farming is hardcore. Mendocino doesn't see a lot of rain, but it can also be dry as hell. So basically farmed really, really carefully. But it's 7 miles inland from the coast. Starts at 1,800 feet. This is up at 400 feet above that. The grades there can be over 60%, so super hyper steep. Most of the soil contains more granite rock than it does dirt. But yeah, it's cold growing conditions. There's a lot of bears. They really talk about on their website about mainly growing Pinot Noir. But I do think like the Drew family vineyard, not my family, but the Drew family vineyard, who I love their wines from Mendocino. They use the Perli vineyard. I've always loved their wines. I just think it's a really great California source. Immediately on the nose, I get this like wonderful convergence of like what the age is doing to this wine, as well as the primary fruit component of this wine. So like it's like a deep blueberry, kind of more blackberry, but like if this was essence, this is like pressed extract, even not moving towards like a compote, but sort of like it's been reduced into not reduction, where this wine smells amazing. There's no like sulfur on the nose of this wine. It's more about like reduced into like this sort of deep dark fruit, and then I get a really typical of Syrah, like a meatiness. Oh, it's so awesome. Okay, immediately first thought that comes across the palate is this wine is not heavy bodied. It looks darker and deeper, and it has this like real dark essence to it, but actually it's like really dynamic and bright on the palate. Not water weight, but it kind of brings this wonderful like freshness to it. And I get this like totally like I like to buy the boreal blueberries from Trader Joe's, and like when they melt, because I have them on ice cream, they're delicious, but they like have this wonderful deep but light and bright blueberry sort of brambly flavor. And that's what this wine kind of immediately pops with. And then it's followed by a real like mix of, I'm getting like a minerality that's very granite, kind of like dusty rock smashed together. And then this really typical chaparral that I get from California Syrah. But, and a wonderful like kind of horseshoe of light tannins that sort of keep you captivated, but like don't dominate your whole palate. Great mouthfeel. It is 14.2% alcohol, which like tends to be a little bit higher, or is a little bit higher than we tend to carry at the restaurant and wine shop, but it sort of is proper for Syrah from California, especially from a site where it's cold, but it gets a lot of sunlight, and it's got to have a long growing season to get fully ripe. But it will accumulate sugars because of the sunlight. And I think it stays like super kind of coastally light feeling, which I love. There's not really like a heavy, I wouldn't tell you this wine is like 14, almost 14.5% alcohol, just like on the retronasal sort of like, ooh, it's boozy. It doesn't have that. It's just bomb. It's like blackberry, blueberry, mainly blueberry, and even like the texture of blueberry juice, which not a lot of people have. We don't have blueberry juice all the time. I think we should have more blueberry juice because it tastes like this wine. There's a little bit of like that meatiness, not so much like jerky as like a wonderful sort of savory, meaty sort of bite. Tastes full of life. The wine builds a lot of complex chaparral type of characteristics. I'm getting a lot of sage out of the wine. Get a slight woodiness. There's some sort of kind of like holy wood type of thing, not a cedar. But yeah, just like a really very refreshing and clean, wonderful type of woodiness. I think that probably comes more from a combination of this being a all whole cluster example with ripe stems, and sort of picking up that sort of stemminess. But you know, sometimes when you cut into stems, like the stems in this wine would have been probably a little bit more green at harvest, whereas this, they're quite woody, they're lignified. And that can give you sort of like anywhere from like very astringent to like beechwood type characteristics. And also it could also just be that like the time in barrel that this wine had, which I think is like, what, 12 months? 15 months. Yeah. Extended time, a little bit more than we normally have in barrel is going to slowly oxidize it. give up a little bit more of that like opening for making a little bit maybe more oxidized like woody notes can come out, but it's not woody like oaky. It's woody like Palo Santo without quite the holiness. This wine's bomb. This wine is super, super good. I'm really impressed with Matt. He's got just 3 wines in the market right now, 2 Syrahs and a Riesling, because he's got a lot of focus on other winemaking, obviously. But I hope he keeps making wine under his own label because I think he's really got incredible skill. This wine just keeps building on my palate. But yeah, I don't want to linger because I have a yoga pants salad and chechi beans waiting for me at the restaurant. I did want to say thank you for being a wine club member. If you're not a wine club member and would like to join, please go to satellitesb.com/club, SATELLITESB/CLUB. It helps us sustain the restaurant and the wine shop, and honestly, it pays our rent, and it is a huge, huge thing, a boost for all of us to know that we've got people who want to join us and come on this wine journey together. Couple things this month, we are offering a sale on our WSET classes. Automatic discount applies till the 14th. It's like 20% off. It's normally $8.99. I think it's like $7.40 right now. And it's doubly set level 2, fully catered by Satelllite for lunch. It is a certified wine course that's internationally recognized. It's based in London. I am certified as advanced through it. I'm a diploma student technically still, although it's been about 11 years since I took an exam and I'm almost done. It's just I opened a restaurant instead. But anyways, you should sign up for that course. If you want to know your wines better, have really like, for me, it made appreciating wine more valuable. It made drinking wine feel more real, and I got a lot more out of the experience of it because it's a real understanding of wine, not what wine is best, but wine in a spectrum of so many different ways of identifying quality and flaws in wine, and then understanding a historical and geographical complex what makes a wine the way it is. And it's not some guy in a cheap suit telling you how it's going to be and what wines are the best. Just like at Satelllite, that's not what we're interested in. That's why we have a constantly evolving wine list. We are looking for wines that represent themselves well. So please join our WSET class. I think it's a great place for people in the industry. I think it's a great place for people who are not in the industry, who are just interested. And then we've got 30% off our National Coast Wine Festival registrations this month only. So both of those discounts are until February 14th. That's Valentine's Day. Get it for your honey. The wine festival is April 25th. Matt Elkins is registered. I just checked. So you can taste all these wines and the other stuff that he does at that festival. And it's an all-day fest from 12 to 5 on April 25th, featuring, we'll call it 50 to 60 of the Central Coast's best winemakers from this year Temecula to Calaveras County. Is that right? Calaveras? I think it's Calaveras. What's the county where Mount Diablo is? South Bay? Anywhere south of San Francisco. Heck, we even have a wild producer doing fruit wines from all the way in at the Sierra foothills, but he also makes some wine from here. Those wines are wild, definitely for the kids, definitely for the adventurous palate. But anyways, all of those things are on sale right now. We are also doing, if you've hung around this long, thank you. This has been meandering. Fuck. We are doing 10% off of any gift cards over $100 right now. So trying to fundraise to close out just some like building bills that we have for this restaurant so we can, rather the factory space that I'm in. Trying to get all of that done really by summer this year and just move on. Keeping everything kind of flowing towards throwing better events, bigger events, and lots more tastings and things down here. But I have waxed too long. It is 2 minutes until the restaurant closes. I am not at the restaurant. I love you. I have been your host, Drew. Never stop learning, never stop growing. I will talk with you soon. Thank you.